You always hear about Bitcoin as an investment. You allocate a certain portion. No, the proper allocation to Bitcoin is 100%. So if you're making cash flow by trading your time and energy at a job and you receive your paycheck, my mindset when I was in that situation, my mindset was, okay, I have to pay my rent, I have to pay my groceries, I have to pay my insurances, and I'm going to have some money on the side to reward myself for my hard work over the past 2 weeks. But the rest of this money that's left over, I don't want to put it into investments. I don't want to put it into stocks, or I don't want to add risk. I want to be risk free. Well, then what you do is you put 100% of it into your savings in Bitcoin. Now it's your wants and your desires that take away from your savings allocation. But now we can actually do that. See, if you don't have Bitcoin on your balance sheet as a savings tool, then you get confused. And that's why people just spend. And they live paycheck to paycheck because there is no incentive to save. So if you're not using Bitcoin, then yeah, you know what? You are better to spend than invest because there's no reason to save it. But if you're using Bitcoin, all of a sudden you get that saying, Bitcoin changes you. You don't change Bitcoin. Why? Because the more and more you save in Bitcoin and the more and more you see your purchasing power go up over time, it changes your incentives. Now all of a sudden, you know what? Give me those $15 sandals instead of the $40 sandals. You start looking at value. You start understanding, and what you said about real estate is important too, because real estate, I think, is an important asset class. And anybody who's looking at real estate right now, especially if you're trying to start a family and you want your own home, here's my recommendation. Do the same thing I did with Bitcoin and use cost structure analysis. How much monetary premium is in real estate prices? It's very easy to answer this question. All you have to do is say, well, how much does it cost to reproduce the home? If I went and I had all of the connections to the builders and the electrical workers and the foundation layers and the concrete and the wood and the copper and the shingles, if I could source all of that and I wanted to expel my time and energy to source all of that and make this happen, how much would it cost me to produce this home? And once you understand the cost structure of producing a single family home, now you can look at the price of it and compare it to the cost basis to understand the premium that you're paying. And that's a really good strategy to use in anything that you do, not just Bitcoin, but it just happens to be really useful in Bitcoin for finding the best times to put in large, because that's the big problem right now. Everybody's like, well, it's 100,000. Do I dollar cost average or do I throw everything in? Well, in the discount zones, you throw everything in. In the premium zones, you dollar cost average. Now, my biggest concern is that model is breaking because this gets back to the second part of the original part of our conversation, the price-agnostic perpetual bid. We have the United States federal government starting a strategic Bitcoin reserve. When Loomis's bill gets passed through Congress, the United States will begin to acquire Bitcoin, up to 200,000 Bitcoin per year. They will not care what the price is. They will simply take a portion of the tax income. They'll take a percentage of the tax income and they'll buy Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if the price of Bitcoin is 60,000, 10,000, 100,000, or 10 million. They're going to buy it every single time, and they're just going to continue to dollar cost average in. That is called price agnostic bid. And in no previous cycle did we have a price agnostic bid. There was no buyer of last resort. We now are going to have a buyer of last resort in the form of the United States federal government. And that's going to trigger and force other nation states to also become buyers of last resort.